Is there a cure for stammering or stuttering? I know many people are asking these questions, and many experts disagree on the answer. In fact, if you search the web, you'll find many websites that talk about having cures for stuttering. These could be downloadable programs or ebooks or therapy sessions or whatever. And there are some organizations that actually frown on using this word cure. Why is that? And is there really a cure? Well, what I'd like to do in this video is to take a few minutes to perhaps have us look at this concept of cure from a different perspective. My name is Michael Williams, and I'm the founder of the Start Speaking training session. And in the next few minutes, we're going to look at a formula. And you don't have to remember the formula or anything, but we're going to take a look at a formula that I believe will help you understand and see this concept of curing from a brand new perspective. If you look up the word cure on the internet and you look under, say for example, Wikipedia, they talk about it using a couple of different examples. One example is when you and I get a common cold, and once that cold passes, we could say that we're cured. The other example, they talk about if a person has a disease, and when the effects of that disease no longer impact that person, then they don't say the person is necessarily cured, they say the person is in what? Remission. So there's a couple of different perspectives of cure and curing that we see there. I want to suggest to you another perspective, and that is that if you look at cured as it relates to stammering or stuttering, not as an event, that is, I'm cured, I don't stutter anymore, not as an event, but as a process. Not as an event, but as a process. Now what do I mean as a process? Well, people who stutter and who have overcome the stuttering, that is, the effects of the stuttering, the effects on their life no longer impacts them in the same way. That is, they don't think of themselves as stutterers, they rarely ever stutter, then they entered into a process. Now they know that often stuttering can come back and revisit at any time. Sometimes if a person is feeling stressed or tired or sick, stuttering can come back. It may not stay, but it can come back. So they may not consider themselves cured, but they certainly can say that the impact of stuttering on their life is nowhere near the same as it used to be. There are other people who have overcome it who never stutter again. So it really depends on the person. But what I want us to see is I want us to look at stuttering, or look at the cure for stuttering or curing stuttering, not as a one-time event, but actually as a process. So I'm going to give you a formula in just a couple of minutes that's going to help us look at curing stuttering as a process. Some of the current scientific studies are showing that stammering or stuttering is related to a gene. And I'm not talking about blue genes, I'm talking about they can actually take people who stutter and they can find a common gene between those folks. And so what they're saying is that this may be in fact genetic. What I say is that even if it is proven that it's absolutely genetic, it doesn't mean that one has to necessarily stutter, that stuttering has to present itself. That is, if something is genetic, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to present itself. So even if I have the gene for stuttering, it doesn't mean that I have to stutter or that I have to continue to stutter. And that's a very powerful statement, because some people feel like, well, if it's genetic, that means I have to stutter forever. That's not true. So let's take a look at this formula. And I'm going to tell you what each of the letters mean. And once again, you don't have to remember or memorize the formula, but I do want you to think about the concept that it represents. So the first letter in this formula is I. I plus M times E equals your cure for stuttering. Thinking about cure not as a one-time event, but as a process. So here's the formula again. I plus M times E equals your cure for stuttering. All right, so what's the I? The I stands for inspiration. Now someone says, well, what in the world does inspiration have to do with overcoming or curing stuttering? Well, let me just tell you, over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a steady stream of emails and people commenting on these videos that says that they are inspiring them. And that in fact, not only are they feeling more inspired, but that they're having, now listen, some of the best speaking days that they've ever had. Now, for people who stutter, they know that a good speaking day is a day when most of the time they're able to speak smoothly and fluently. They're not feeling that pressure and stress that they might normally feel when they have to think and avoid, and they're not able to get things out. So a good speaking day is a day that's a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more fluent and smooth. So I'm getting people emailing me, which is what triggered me to do this video. Is I'm getting people emailing me saying that they are being inspired, and it's actually helping them speak better, speak well. So inspiration, believe it or not, is an important part of this formula. It's not the only part, but it's an important part of this formula for being cured as a process from stuttering or stammering. Does that make sense? Inspiration. So here's what we need to do. And some of you that have watched my videos before have heard me talk about reading a biography or autobiography story about James Earl Jones. And just by reading the story, it inspired me and helped me begin to speak better. Now, I had to do some other things along with that, but just the inspiration of the story helped me speak better. So inspiration is very important. So here's what I suggest, that you find someone, doesn't have to be me, it could be anyone, you find someone that inspires you to speak well. Their story inspires you somehow. Now here's something else that I'm going to give you. Learning to speak well is a skill. It's an ability, and it's a learnable skill and a learnable ability. So once you figure out what you want to do, you want to speak well, you want to speak fluently, you want to speak smoothly, you want to speak passionately. Once you figure out what that is and what that looks like for you, then the next step is to figure out, how do I do it? What do I need to do to get there? And then once you figure that out and you start to do it, then you know that you're going to be in a place where eventually you're going to be speaking well. So just knowing that in fact you can do something about stuttering, that you can learn how to speak well, just that piece of information is inspiring, right? Because it gives you hope, it encourages you. So you can do at least a couple of things to maintain this ongoing sense of inspiration. That is, look for someone or look for a series of people, a group of people who can inspire you on a regular basis. Second, understand and know that you can do something about learning to speak well, that it's a learnable skill, and just knowing that is inspiring. All right, so that's the I. I plus, what's the next letter? M. What does the M stand for? The M stands for motive or motivation. Now, what's a motive? Well, a motive is a reason. It's a reason for doing something. So when someone is motivated, they have lots of reasons. So a motive pushes you, it drives you, or it pulls you. So what are your reasons for wanting to speak well? I want to suggest that your reasons have to be larger than yourself. That is, if it's just that I just don't like stuttering, it's a pain in the butt, those are good reasons, right? But they might not be enough. So is there some group of people? Is there some purpose? Is there something that you're passionate about that you are not going to be able to really do if you stutter or if you stammer, or if you have a fear of public speaking? Is there something greater than yourself, beyond yourself, outside yourself, that you're passionate about, that the only way you're going to be productive at doing that thing or at helping those people or meeting those needs is if you overcome, that is, if you become an excellent speaker? If there's something like that, then that might be enough to motivate you, to move you and to drive you through this journey, which is going to be quite challenging. Okay? So I, inspiration, plus M, motivation or motives. That is, you got to have some reasons, some big reasons, some things that you're passionate about. I want to suggest that you have some that are also outside of yourself that can drive you and push you. I plus M times E. Now what's the E? What do you think the E stands for? The E stands for effort, because you can be inspired and you can be motivated, but you might not do anything. So the E stands for effort. What kind of effort? It has to be focused effort and continuous effort. Focused and continuous. Now what do I mean? When I say focused, that is, what is it that you're going to need to do on a daily basis to help you become an excellent speaker? Focus on doing those things. But you can't just focus on it, you also have to do it. So the effort has to be focused. I know what I need to do each and every day, and it has to be continuous. I'm doing it each and every day. Make sense? So you have inspiration, something that inspires you. You have motivation, you got some reason, something that's driving you. And you multiply that times focused and continuous effort, and what do you get? Well, it equals your cure for stuttering. And when you think about cure as a process and not as an event, then you can feel more inspired about being cured of stammering or stuttering. Because some people, if you look for a device, you look for medication, or you look for some program or something that's supposed to cure you and it doesn't, then what happens? You become very disillusioned, very frustrated. You end up spending lots of time and money going round and round, when actually, if you look at cure as a process, then you might actually find yourself 6 months, a year, 2 years at a place where you're no longer stuttering. So when you get to a place where you are cured, or you're being cured of stuttering, here's what that means. Here's what that looks like. The stuttering is no longer impacting and controlling and affecting and limiting your life. You no longer think of yourself as a stutterer. You no longer think about stuttering. You're thinking about the people that you're helping. You're thinking about improving your life. You're thinking about how you can make an impact on this world. You're no longer thinking about how you have to avoid something or how stuttering is holding you back. You're no longer thinking about that. So when you enter that space and that place where your focus now is on other people and it's not on your speech, then you're in a place of being cured of stuttering. Does that make sense? That's a new way, a different way that I want to suggest to you to look at the word cure. So let's go over the formula real quick. What's the I stand for? Inspiration. Each and every day, find something, take something in that inspires you. Keep this idea in mind that there is something you can do that can inspire you. Plus M, motivation. What are your reasons? What are those things that drive you? Times E, which is effort. What kind of effort? Focused effort. What do I need to do? An effort that's what? Continuous. What I need to do every day, and I need to do it, right? Equals your cure for stuttering. So I hope that this has been helpful. My name is Michael Williams, founder of Start Speaking Training Center. I do want to encourage you to take a look. There should be a link just below this video at the new Speaking You Elite Training Program. It's an awesome program. When you sign up, that is, when you give me your name and email address, I'm going to send you a link to a series of absolutely free videos. And I think you're going to find those videos very inspiring as well as instructing. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside.